Hello, runners. My name is David McHenry. I am the owner of the Portland Athletic Center of Excellence, and more importantly to you, I am a strength and conditioning coach and physical therapist for Nike Running. I've been doing that for 10 years, and I've had the opportunity to work with some of the best runners in the world, helping them stay injury-free and building strength and conditioning programs for them to win medals, set records, and do some amazing things. In Portland, Oregon, we were on the first day of a 2-week kind of self-quarantine. Everybody has to stay inside. So I have a lot of time on my hands, and I would assume that no matter where you are, you were probably in a similar situation where either you are being asked by your government or your state to stay inside or at least to limit social contact. And just because we might be homebound doesn't mean that we need to stop moving. So what we are going to do over the next 6 weeks is create a strength and conditioning program for runners, specifically for runners, that you can do in the comfort of your own home so that you continue to move, I continue to use my brain, and we continue to get through this together. So I'll outline a little bit of what this program is going to look like, and then every Monday starting March 30th, which is this next Monday, we will drop a video of that week's strength and conditioning program into our social media pages, including Instagram and Facebook. And then once we get to the next week, that previous week will then be housed in our data sharing platform called Portland Pace Network, www.Portland Pace Network, so that at any point you can jump in and go straight to the week that you start in. So I'm going to give you a very brief overview of how I am going to create this program, which is a reflection of how I create programs for a lot of the Nike runners that I work with. And for a very simplified version, we're going to talk first about this pyramid. This is a hierarchy of athletic development, and this was developed originally by Al Vermeil. This is a little bit of a simplified adaptation of it, just so that we can get across some of the basic principles that we're using to build the periodization that we then use to build the 6-week program. So the idea is that everything that an athlete does and develops is built on a foundation of just fundamental strength, flexibility, and balance. And this is strength around each joint. So this is like core strength, hip strength, strength around ankles, strength around certain joints. Same with flexibility. This is just general flexibility throughout the entire kinetic chain, through the entire system. And then balance is both single leg balance, coordination, proprioception, but also symmetry, making sure that we have good symmetry between the left side and the right side of our body. So foundational strength or foundational capabilities and capacities is at the bottom of the pyramid, as you would expect. Once we have a system that has good foundational capabilities, then we can start to build strength on top of that. And the strength here is really the ability to move load. So these are the things like doing squats and doing lunges and deadlifts and various things that increase your ability to move load. Once we start to develop a strength capability, then we can start to translate the strength into power. And power is basically the ability to move load, but with a little bit more speed. And ultimately, when you're a runner, even if you're a marathoner, the golden equation that we utilize is power per kilogram body weight. We want you to be able to express as much power as you possibly can in a reasonably small frame. And that ultimately is going to create speed and speed endurance over the course of your distance or over the course of your race. On top of that is speed. So speed is basically both the outcome of working up the ladder, but you can also start to integrate some speed work into your strength and conditioning program to really kind of turn that power into functional speed, so to say. So what we've done here, for the sake of this introduction, is I've color-coded foundational strength as orange, general strength as purple, and then power as green. And over here, you'll see a 6-month training program. So for our Nike runners, a lot of times we have a 5 or 6 month training block that leads up to a key event. This year it would have been the Olympics, but we all know now that the Olympics are going to be postponed until 2021. But normally what we would do, and this is a very general simplified version of what one style of periodization looks like, called block periodization. And I use this with some of my younger runners as we get into runners that are a little bit more experienced, they have more training under their belt. We'll do some different styles of periodization, that works better for them. But as an introductory periodization model, I do like block periodization, and this is kind of a variation of that. So for the first month, all we do might be foundational strength. So just working on general strength around joints, working on flexibility through the entire kinetic system, and working on balance and symmetry. So the first month, that's the entire program. The second month, then we continue to do a lot of the foundational work, but then we'll add a little bit of strength into the program. As we go into the third month, we'll decrease the amount of foundational work that we're doing, but we'll still do it. And as you notice, we never lose sight of the foundational work. A lot of the things that nobody likes to do, like the clamshells, reverse clamshells, general flexibility, dynamic flexibility, single leg balance, and postural work. These things that nobody loves to do are things that we are always hitting in a very high proportion throughout our entire training cycle with the best runners in the world. So everybody should be doing this work. So the third month, we continue to work on foundational skills. We are doing a little bit more of the strength work, and then we start to add a little bit of power work. Go into month 4, foundational work comes down, strength stays about the same, power becomes a higher proportion of the strength and conditioning program. And then as we go deeper into the training cycle, month 5, foundational comes down to about 50% of the total work. We still do a little bit of strength work, but in a very kind of a lower proportion. And we're doing more power work. As we get into the final month, when we're getting close to our A meet, which is the Olympics or the World Championships for my group, we'll continue to work on foundational skills, and we'll really only just polish up on the power stuff, and we don't do much of the strength stuff anymore. So very general overview of what a 6-month periodization program might look like for some of my professional runners. What we're going to do is we're going to condense all of this down into 6 weeks, because hopefully at the end of 6 weeks, we're all back outside and the coronavirus has been kind of put to bed. So we do know, however, even though we're talking about strength and turning strength into power, that it really takes about 6 weeks to really develop an increase in physiological strength capabilities. So we're just going to suspend that disbelief at this point, and we're going to work through a 6-week program. And the program is going to look similar to what a 6-month program looks like, but it's going to be very much condensed. So week 1, we're going to work on foundational capabilities, strength, flexibility, and balance. Week 2, we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to have a different program. Some of the stuff we do in week 1 will carry over to week 2, but we're going to add some new stuff into week 2 to add some complexity and some variability and some diversity. Week 3, continue to work on foundation, but then we're going to start to add some strength. And again, I realize you're going to be doing this at home, so we have to be creative. Week 4, same foundation and strength, but the program is going to be a little bit different. Some of the stuff will carry over, some of the stuff will be new. Week 5, foundation strength, we're going to start to add a little bit of power. So a little bit of a contraction velocity, so moving load a little bit quicker. And then week 6, just like would be month 6, we're going to do foundational work and polish up on power as if in week 7 you were going to do a really important race. So we're going to send these out every Monday, and I'm going to ask you to probably do each one of these 3 days a week. So on Monday, this will drop. You'll look at it, you'll learn it, and you'll do it 3 days during that week in the comfort of your own home. As we get a little bit deeper, we might do more like 2 days a week, but we might try to keep 3 days a week all the way through this. And hopefully this keeps you engaged in your movement life. It'll keep me engaged in my intellectual life, having to continue to work on creating programs for people and for athletes. And hopefully together we can get through this coronavirus and be a little bit healthier, a little bit happier, a little bit more fit on the outset. Good luck.